Whakalapalahiatu and welcome to our group's presentation. My name is Caitlin and these are my fellow teammates. Christian?
Should you come that way so that way I'm looking towards the camera? Sweet.
Matty?
Actually, I'm taking.
And Aaryaman.
I like this show.
I'll kick off the presentation by discussing who the CGA applies to and what the definition of a consumer is. My mate Christian over here will then discuss what guarantees and rights consumers are entitled to when they're unsatisfied with a good or service. Followed by Matty, who will discuss in what circumstances it is possible to contract out of the CGA and the practical consequences of the CGA for business practices. Aaryaman will then wrap up our presentation by briefly touching base. I hope you enjoy. Okay, so firstly, who does the Consumers Guarantee Act 1993 apply to? Well, it applies to consumers. The sole purpose of the Act is to protect consumers by allowing them to refund, repair, and replace faulty items. Faulty could be items that break too easily or that don't work. Okay, so what is the definition of a consumer? What is a consumer? Who is a consumer? How can a person be a consumer? So, the definition of a consumer is a person who purchases goods or services for personal, domestic, or household use, or consumption. An example of a consumer could be Matty purchasing an iPhone 11, or Aaryaman purchasing a 62-inch television. They're both considered consumers as they purchase a good for their own personal or household use. That is what a consumer is.
The specific guarantees for consumers can be found in Part 1, Sections 5 to 13 of the Act, and Part 4, Sections 28 to 31, where various sections overlap right throughout. Now, the consumer wants an undisturbed possession of their goods are guaranteed to acceptable quality, the meaning of which is found in Section 7 of the Act. Now that is the good needs to be fit for purpose for what it's most commonly supplied for, acceptable in appearance and finish, and free from defects, and of course it needs to be safe and durable. Now, Part 1 further states that the goods have to be of reasonable price, match its descriptive characteristics, comply with the product sample, either able to be repaired or come with parts or spare parts. Now, if the consumer makes it known for what its intended purpose is, then it must meet that purpose, along with any express guarantees the manufacturer may make. Now, if unsatisfied with the good, the consumers are entitled to having the good fixed, refunded, or replaced. Now, it's also worth noting that a good that's already been replaced is also covered underneath the Act, in reasonable time, of course.
When you are buying consumer goods or services in New Zealand from a trader, you are covered by the Consumer Guarantees Act. And a business can never contract out of this if you are buying the goods for household use. However, the seller does have the right to contract out of Consumer Guarantees Act if the product the consumer buys will be used for commercial purposes. This contracting out must be in writing and it has to be fair and reasonable in order for the seller to contract. It means that contracting out must be subject to negotiation, and simply including it on the fine print of the sales docket is not sufficient. The Act can catch out suppliers, manufacturers and importers if the manufacturer is not set up in NZ. Businesses can also be subject to consequential loss, as was the case with A&W Holdings v. Hoskins. Damages were recovered by. Businesses can also be subject to consequential loss, as was the case with A&W Holdings v. Hoskins. Damages were recovered by Hoskins for a faulty electric blanket that breached several guarantees of the Act, such as fitness for purpose and safety requirements. $50,000 was recovered for damage to the house and $7,500 recovered for stress and hardship.
Let's go. Well, in conclusion, thanks to Christian, Caitlin and Matty, we know what the Consumer Guarantees Act is. And we also know that the Consumer Guarantees Act protects us, the customers, the consumers, in our interest. So the Consumers Guarantees Act also protects the interests of businesses and customers. So the healthy competition helps the businesses and customers reach really high standards for quality and assurance. Businesses will have to make hefty settlements if they breach the Consumers Guarantees Act. So businesses, never try to fool the customers, because we know what we deserve. Now, you would have probably understood that all of you are customers in some way or the other. Therefore, your interests are protected and you have the right to take action whenever you're unsatisfied.